All right. So, as I told you guys the other day, we do have some big announcements to make. New year, new us. You know how it is. So, I've got some exciting news, and unfortunately, I do have some bad news. But let's start with the exciting news. So, the exciting news is that this year, Anarchy Arts is entering free agency. And what I mean by that is, I'm no longer going to be holding classes exclusively in Davis. So, we may be coming to a city near you. I'll have more details in the coming weeks. I'm even going to implement a voting system. But our open mats, our structured programs, personally, I'm going to be making a lot of moves out in Sacramento. So the classes should follow, but there also might be some options in the Bay Area here very soon. So that's the exciting news. New year, new us. And I guess that's our resolution is to expand. Now, now let's get into the bad news. The bad news is that the ankle injury I suffered back in March is still becoming a chronic problem. And it's very reminiscent of a back injury I suffered way back in 2011 that ended my football career. Despite the doctors finding no evidence on the x-rays or the MRIs, I still wasn't able to weightlift and I wasn't able to play football anymore. So I had to walk away and come to martial arts. And so with this injury, I injured the outside of the ankle. It was sprained. Went through physical therapy. That outside recovered pretty nicely. But then somewhere in the mix, I ended up hurting the inside ankle around the arch. And, I still need to get x-rays and get a diagnosis on that. But the problem with that one is every couple of weeks it'll heal. It'll feel great. I can spar on it. I can do everything. And then if I do something as small as the last time, where I just put too much weight on it or stand up wrong, it's injured, can't put any weight on it, and I've got to be in a boot for the next 2 days. Um, so it's very reminiscent of that, despite there obviously not being a break, probably not a fracture, probably not a dislocation, probably not a tear or anything like that. It's just a recurring injury that is putting me down, and I can't do that, especially with I've got a bright future in firearms ahead of me. And so with that, I'm going to continue to monitor it, try and heal it, rehab it. But if by March, which would mark a year since the first injury, it's not 100% healthy, where I couldn't do 3 5-minute MMA sparring rounds with somebody my size back to back without hurting it, it's probably time to go ahead and hang it up on the hand-to-hand combat level. Because again, I've got a bright future of shooting ahead of me. I'm gonna start competing in that now that I have the financial income to support that. And I'm going to enter some tactical training, and that requires me to be able to run and dive and do all kinds of athletic stuff. And just at this point in time, given 5 years ago, I was probably good enough to be able to beat up 95% of the population in a fist fight. It's just not worth it to continue to risk my ability to train and ultimately teach in a newer, more relevant discipline, to continue to basically be greedy and just get better at hand-to-hand combat for no real reason, since I don't compete for money and won't compete for money given the injuries I have. So again, that's not the worst news in the world, because just like from the ashes of my football career rose martial arts, which has been an incredible journey, and I owe my health and pretty much everything to. If I do have to hang it up, on a hand-to-hand combat level, it does, create an opportunity to rise from those ashes firearms. So for you guys at Anarchy Arts, what that would mean is that if I do have to end up hanging up the hand-to-hand combat side, I personally would be more focused on firearms. A lot of our classes would be firearm based. We'd be going shooting and visiting shooting ranges far more often, doing paintballing or simulation shooting. And then I would try and find somebody else to partner with to kind of run the hand-to-hand combat side of things. So that's the State of the Union, I guess, update for everybody. So for those of you who've come out and support, I appreciate it. And for those of you who will come out and support, I'm looking forward to meeting you, and Happy New Year, everyone.